always, feel free to call in every week. We always want to talk to you. And enjoy your off week.
Have a good
All
one.
right, hey, keep up with the great show, both of y'all.
All right, man.
Appreciate
Appreciate
it.
All right. So that, like I said, that does conclude the MSFA. We're going to dive in real quick with the BCFL. I don't believe anyone in the BCFL played last week. Just kind of looking through here. I don't think we have any scores. We're going to start. I'm not really seeing any games that really excite me. If I was a BCFL season ticket holder, there was a BCFL network, it'd be fair to say that we went in with the games they'd be giving you Alabama, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Yeah.
I don't know. They'd be giving you Alabama, Villanova.
Right.
It'd be something that if you're a fan of those teams, obviously you want to pursue. But if you're just a good football fan like we are, nothing on here gets me too excited.
Yeah, this is one of the weeks I'm flipping through all the games because none of them are holding my attention.
I wished I had the BCFL Red Zone channel so I can just see when people score. And I wonder if a lot of this gets taken away because in the past, I want to say, is it 2 weeks? We've seen the Crusaders just be so flat out dominant.
Literally fold teams.
Literally just shutting things down. It gets like that, in the KFL. Now, I don't want to take away from the 2014 Derby City Thunder because you hung in there close. But for most of the teams, they pointed at the Pythons and said, "That's it.
Yeah.
That's the team that's going to win." The 2015 MSFA. Yeah, the Davis County Spartans hung in there, but any outsider looked at it and said, especially once the Comet beat the Extreme, that, hey, that's the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then last year, the Middle Tennessee Bulldogs.
Yeah.
You look and you say, that's the team. And when that happens, yeah, you still got guys like last year. You had the Bucks who felt that if we could play the perfect game with a quarterback, we could beat them. The Canes felt that they could get in there and get a win. The Spartans may have felt that if they could get things going their way, they might get a win.
Well, and
but
hats off to the Canes in the championship, even though it ended early, they kept it close. So.
Right. Some things got called back that I think reflected it, but I think the Canes also made some questionable calls down the stretch that I felt like could have really closed that in. But what that does is when you have that powerhouse at the top, the bottom teams tend to just want to fade off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Depending on how the schedule goes. One thing that I think kept the Colts in business, I've always been very, spoke very highly of the Colts for taking so many beatdowns and just keep on going. They never had to play the Bulldogs.
Yeah. Yeah, that could have folded.
Yeah. What's the team? The second team we played from Hopkinsville, I'm drawing a blank. The Stallions. They actually did fold. But that second week, they played the Bulldogs, or third week, and lost 88-0. That is the things that will send guys home.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I will say before we kind of go into some of the things that are on the plate in the BCFL, I've spoken to the commissioner of the BCFL. He has spoken to me that he does not want those blowouts. That is, he thinks it looks bad for a league when a team wins 70-0, 80-0, and we haven't seen it. Even the Crusaders, who got up 41-0 at half, which math and law of averages would tell you that's going to be 82-0 at the end of the game, only go on to win 41-6. So I don't know if that's something he just told me or if there's any actual truth to that, but it seems like the BCFL teams respect that.
Yeah.
That I'm up 40-0, I'm up 34-0.
We'll bring the bench in.
Exactly. I'm here for the better. And I hear the Crusaders just keep getting deeper, which allows that to happen and you to just improve. But I'm looking through here, and we'll break down some scores here. I'm seeing the Gladiators, the number 2 team, playing on the Dukes. I see the King Comets playing the West Virginia Lightning. The West Portsmouth Tanks, the number 4 team, taking on the Saints. Actually, the closest game is going to be the Marion County Crusaders taking on the Kentucky Colonels because it's going to be a 2-0 win. At the end of the day, when you look at that score, it's 2-0.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everybody knows that when you see 2-0, it's probably a forfeit. But so we're going to start here at the top. We got the Columbus Gladiators, the number 2 team in the country, or in the BCFL, taking on the number 5 Cincinnati Dukes. I know the BCFL is really not something we've got to talk about much, me and you, and get familiar with. I just think the Gladiators are too tough. I
Yeah.
think they're too much of a well-rounded team. The Dukes, much like we've talked, they rely on finding you making a mistake.
Yeah.
Teams like the Gladiators don't make enough mistakes to lose. My final score for this one, 36-14. I think the Gladiators get out 30-0 at half, and then when they put in their backups, the Dukes are able to make some things happen.
Make up a little ground there.
What's your thoughts on?
I think that's fair. Again, I want to see more of the Dukes and the Gladiators play, or at least learn more about their play through.
Well, and
through
don't
the
take no
season.
shade. I don't want anyone to take this as shade or disrespect, but we lost that opportunity. We had a team in Louisville that was going to track some of these teams.
Right.
That's how we were going to dive in. That's how the fans watching, the Canes, the Cavs, the guys watching at home would have gotten to know something. When we talk about the West Portsmouth Tanks, how they're number 4 and they lost, but I still have a lot of faith that they're going to be at least in the championship game.
Yeah.
But people are like, well, how can that be? You know they've already lost. Well, you haven't got to see them.
Yeah.
I've got to see a little bit of tape, but
But on the flip side of that, we've also not seen a lot of their competition. So
very true.
So maybe we paint a bigger picture of them than we should. But I wish one of these teams could get on that same page the Piranhas was on and broadcast some of these games. And if you are doing it and I'm not aware of it, let us know on the page so I can watch some of these games. I'd love to know more about your team so that I can make better judgment and predictions on that team. So
it is someone who I've dove into that. This year I dove into BCFL. I've tried to dive into all 27 teams in the GDFL. There's 9 teams in Tier 1 of the PAFL,
right.
22 teams in Tier 2, and 11 teams in Tier 3. It is very complicated, and as we get into the PAFL, guys I'm sure will correct me left and right.
Yeah.
But it does start to open up. You start to see things. So, Team A beat that team.
Yeah.
That tells me a different story.
Yeah, right.
Kind of moving on to the next one, we got the King Comets, number 3, taking on number 7, West Virginia Lightning. I heard good things about the Lightning coming in. Apparently, they fell off. There's a lot of teams around that area. The King Comets lost their quarterback. Actually, last show, he's going to be a receiver for another team we'll talk about.
Right.
I've been very passionate about how you need a good quarterback. I don't know what their backup is. I'm nervous for them going forward.
Yeah,
Not
absolutely.
here, though. I think they'll win 34-6. But
yeah, and again, I see a big win. Maybe it's a little closer than the 34-6 mark, just again because I'm not sure the quarterback situation. But I see it maybe as a 34-12, at worst case. So again, just to I guess echo what you just said, I'm scared for them going forward because I thought they were going to be one of the top contenders. Mm-hmm. Losing your quarterback, I don't know how you compete with teams like the Crusaders or some of those other top teams.
Right. Unless they... So, a lot of people, they're going to tell you, oh, our backup's just as strong.
No.
And at college and at pros, I might buy that. I don't buy that in semi-pro because if you have a true camaraderie or a true... something valuable like that, like a quarterback. No quarterback's just going to sit there and be a backup and not get playing time.
Not usually.
Especially in a town like Cincinnati where there's so many teams.
Absolutely.
He could go if he's truly BCFL championship level talent. I mean, we talked a little before the show about Alex Smith. Maybe you have an Alex Smith in there that can keep you from losing while your defense gets
But
you there.
not really win
kind of
you
the
a game
Canes
either.
mentality.
Yeah, right.
But even then, I think that I put out a fun little bracket over the weekend, and I have them losing in the Final Four to the Tanks, who do have a quarterback.
Right.
Now, if he was to get hurt, that might change things up.
Right.
But I see it not being a problem here. I don't know what's coming down the road. Moving on, we have number 6 Cincinnati Gators taking on the number 10 Louisville Piranhas. That will be a 2-0 forfeit win for the Gators. They'll move them to 2-1 and keep them really vying for that 5-6 spot.
Right.
Moving on, we have number 4 West Portsmouth Tanks taking on the number 8 Tri-State Saints. I've spoken quite a bit on both these teams. I feel like these are teams that are easy to study on. I saw the Saints in person, and the Tanks are a historically good team.
Right.
They have some strong defense. They have a very strong quarterback. The Saints, I think they're just coasting through and trying not to get a forfeit in the playoffs.
And I think if there's a game that's going to fold them, this is it. Not that I want them to fold. I think it's going to get ugly.
So me and Nick, the first year in the MLFA, me and Nick had a conversation. The MLFA had a rule like the BCFL where if you took a forfeit, your playoff dreams were done.
Correct.
Don't matter how good your record was. So you literally, we literally did whatever it took to get, I think it was 15 players to Lemire, Indiana, way up by Michigan, to play the Wolfpack.
One of those players.
Yeah. And you did that. This very well could be the type of game that folds a team like that. What can you do if you're the Saints to say, all we have to do is get through this week, and then maybe next week there's a lighter game?
See, I don't know how you build for that if you don't have the players that are ready for that. I think in our case, it actually brought the team closer.
Yeah.
We went up there and got smacked in the mouth. We showed a little bit of promise here and there. I think we ended up scoring a touchdown, maybe 2. But we ended up losing by some 30-odd points or 40 points. But it brought the players we had that much closer because we knew we went up there as the 16-man unit we were to keep our playoff hopes alive. So to us, even though it was a bad blowout loss, it was a playoff win. You know, again, I don't know what the mentality of some of those players are.
Mm-hmm. Now they seem confident. Now I did see one of their players on Facebook. You know, that's where you keep up with everybody. I saw one of their players. I know he's at least a backup quarterback. I don't know what role he plays now. He was in there with a leg brace, a little leg cast. So you're already down numbers.
I saw one of their players say he's not playing again until next year.
So
that they're taking it all. You know, they announced that they were on that team, and now they're not playing until next year. So
this is like I said, this is your opportunity to get in the playoffs. That says a lot for a first-year team to be in the BCFL playoffs. Now, I know some teams had to stumble ahead of you, but don't mistake fortune.
But you made it further than the teams that stumbled.
Don't mistake fortune for a hoax.
Right.
You know, yes, would you have made the playoffs without these two teams folding? Probably not. But don't miss that opportunity. It's like, example, if you apply for a job and they say, you know, Stump, we don't really want you. You know, we don't really feel like you're the man for the job. And then they hire me and I don't work out. And they hire Mike over here and then he quits. And then they call you back and they say, Stump will take you. Yeah, your pride might be a little wounded. But if this is a good enough job, take that opportunity and run with it. Take this playoff. You might pick up. You're in I think they're playing Florence, which isn't far from Cincinnati. You're in an area where you can pick some of those guys from some of these lesser teams, the Dukes, the Gators, these guys.
When you tell people you made the playoffs, you don't have to tell them the story behind it. It helps in recruiting.
Exactly.
At some level.
It helps knowing that you've never forfeited a game. Leagues look at that. As you try to improve yourself, leagues look, it helps you've never forfeited. It helps if you made the playoffs. No one needs to know the details.
Absolutely.
So I think that the Tanks will win 41-6. I don't know if I said that. I think it'll be just like we talked. I think it'll be 41-0 at halftime. I think they'll call off the Dogs, and here comes the Saints. Somehow they had a big running back find his way into the end zone. Thoughts on that?
That's about what I'm thinking, especially in a league where seems like they try to pull their foot off the gas a little bit. I think it could potentially be more like a 60-0 type game, but I think they'll let up on it.
And then the last game, we have the Crusaders versus the Colonels. The Crusaders are going to get a 2-0 win.
Is this the Crusaders' closest game of the year?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't get any closer than 2-0.
Right.
And then there's not another team that's going to hold them. Now, will there be another team that comes within 2? Maybe. But and don't feel too bad for the Crusaders. They didn't. Most teams were on vacation last week with Memorial Day. They actually played a team, I believe, from the BGFL, the Blitz. Just like everything else talked, up 41-0 at halftime, ended up winning 41-0, maybe 48-0. So they're going to enjoy a week off. And you talk 60-0. The next time they get the opponent that allows them to beat them 60-0, they may just take it because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they have like a really tough team coming up. Then they have the Piranhas. So you have 2 forfeit wins.
I don't know how their playoff seeding works. If points are one of the major components and how that seating
So-
lines up in the end?
Well, I don't know about that, but for those who don't know, because I saw some people ask me as I published the brackets, from my understanding, there's 3 divisions. There's the West, East, and Central, or North, South, whatever it may be. The winner, there's going to be 8 teams. The top 3 winners will make it.
Right.
And then the rest of the 5 will
Right.
fill out the spot. So, I mean, obviously the 8th set that's going to be the playoffs, I don't know what's coming in the future, but you're right. And I think a lot of teams actually, a lot of leagues actually discourage that. They do points against opposed to points for.
Right.
Because you do points for, you put up 100.
Yeah,
when
you're
you
telling
play,
people to
when
go.
you play the bad team, you just put up 100 and say, we're locked in.
Well, as long as you win.
Right, yeah.
Losses still count more, but
All right, guys. Well, we have broken down the MSFA and the BCFL. We still have plenty more to come. We're going to touch on the GDFL. We're going to touch on the PAFL after this. Stay with us. The lines are still open for calls or questions. We'll be back shortly.